This is my cat Peppy, and when he isn't sleeping, he's a big fan of fighting, watching birds, and eating. But in the middle of the night, when nobody's awake, he makes his way into the kitchen and jumps on the table, leaving more than just paw prints, a few skid marks. So what do you do when you don't want your cat to sit where he shouldn't? Well, there's only one thing you can do. Build a robot. This project has been a long time in the procrastinating. I started building what I'm calling the cat turret, or turret, in December of 2024, and it's now September 2025. I had some very important exams earlier this year, so I put the project on hold and never picked it up again. This video is a showcase of everything I finished. Starting with the turret, it's made from two axes, the bottom of which controls the angle of the shot, and the second which controls the distance the shot travels. Similar, or almost identical really, to polar coordinates. I thought it'd be fun to have this very menacing and cruel turret look similar to Peppy, so he'd warm up to it rather than get suspicious when it's sat on the table. In this clip here, I'm using some clever maths to calculate the speed of the water as it leaves the cat turret, so that I can use physics and trigonometry to make sure the water always hits Peppy when he's on the table. But don't worry, there's a lot more on that later. I'm running out of time on this voiceover. This is the thermal camera that I've sort of built. Here you can see me using a lighter to test it, and you can see it appears on the console as a bright blob and gets dimmer as it moves away. I then added a screen which had a really slow refresh rate to it, and you can see me and like that my face is a bit cooler than my jumper and the window's coolest. But most importantly, it detected Peppy as a big central blob. I then mapped each pixel from the thermal camera to a coordinate on the kitchen table so that the cat turret would fire at the hottest blob, which in the dead of night would be Peppy. Figuring out the angle to set the motors to, however, is a different story. Welcome back to Math with Miles, the only show aside from politics where at least half of it's wrong. Today we're looking at SUVAT, and we're going to try and derive an equation linking the horizontal displacement of the water to this angle theta. I've written out my terms, and if you want, you can pause and follow along with the derivation, but if not, just sit back and enjoy derive. Get it? Derive? Deride? Never mind. Starting with this equation here and a little trigonometry, we can find an expression for the horizontal displacement and rearrange for time. The acceleration here is just 0, which is why SUVAT works so nicely. Using this equation again, but this time considering the vertical component, we get a quadratic. I'm then substituting t into that quadratic, which gives us this gross looking thing. Shimming the terms around a bit, we get a double angle formula, which we can rearrange for our final expression, where theta equals half arc sine gh over u squared. And breathe. Psych. We can then rearrange for h, which equals u squared over g sine 2 theta. Differentiating this with respect to theta gives 2u squared over g cos 2 theta, which we can relate to 0 to find the largest distance that the water will travel for this angle theta, which gives cos 2 theta equals 0, which we can rewrite as cos squared theta minus sine squared theta equals 0, or in other words, tan theta equals plus or minus 1. But for a domain between 0 and 90 degrees, i.e. not into the table, we only have one solution. One solution, 45 degrees. Hi, it is Editor Miles in present day 2025 September, and that's where the project ended, really. There wasn't anything else, but I do still have the cat turret and the thermal camera. I just haven't really linked them together yet, but if you'd be interested in watching that, let me know. Smash that like and follow button, guys, and maybe I'll make another video.